Them kill my mama, them kill my papa, but I go vote for them. In 1989, Charles Taylor rebelled against Samuel Doe's government, triggering the first 7-year Liberian Civil War, which killed 1 in 10 citizens of that country. When the war ended in 1996, Charles Taylor ran for election as civilian president. Now, as a notorious warlord who was guilty of massacres, rapes, and the abuse of child soldiers, he had an image problem on his hands. An image problem that would have killed the ambition of any ordinary politician in any normal country. And what he did was to own his own history, giving a middle finger to 200,000 dead Liberians with the notorious campaign slogan, "He killed my ma, he killed my pa, but I will vote for him." Translation, so I'm guilty of genocide, so what? There is something peculiarly Nigerian about that effrontery. In Nigeria as in Liberia, people enter politics with a published history of organized crime, and they thrive. Some campaign for public office, leveraging the proceeds of crime to win election. Others, with neither trade nor verifiable source of income, they enter public office and overnight they become billionaires. Their state houses and their parliaments are active crime scenes where public funds are looted to perpetuate themselves in power. And when they finally leave office, they install permanent pipelines from the public treasury to their private vaults at home. Like Liberia's Charles Taylor, whose campaign machinery was oiled by blood diamonds, Nigeria's electoral machinery is greased by blood, oil, and public sector loot. Nigerian politics is a crime scene, with the fresh blood of citizens on the ground, the blood of pensioners and employees who are pushed prematurely into their grave by years of unpaid pensions and wages, the blood of newborns and their mothers killed by the lack of health care. But on the rally ground, the Nigerian politicians chant with confidence, "I stole your pensions, I killed your children, but you will vote for me." Right? And the people vote for them. What is most galling is the arrogance of the politicians. The way they present themselves at rallies are assured of the sycophancy of their electorate, confident that despite the facts of their rampant criminality in the public domain, they will be received with open arms and with dances. In any normal country, such politicians would be booed out of rallies and be shooed off stage with their staffs and their umbrellas and swept out of town with their brooms. Not in our country. How did Charles Taylor do it? Well, first he retained the control of an insurgent army, blackmailing his electorate with the implicit threats to return to war if he lost the election. Also, he had captured most of the radio stations in Liberia in his days as a warlord, and with control over the mass media, anyone can pump propaganda into an unreflective population. Charles Taylor also blew the dog whistle of tribalism to divide and rule his people. "I may be a monster," he suggests, "but I am your monster." And his people bought it. That primitiveness is prevalent in Nigeria. For the fearful, the politicians have their local militias of thugs, unknown gunmen, and insurrectionists. For the rest, there is a virus of tribalism that afflicts both illiterates and the most educated professors alike. Yet, it is a sick people who elect common criminals on any excuse into their highest office. A people who will elect a pedophile because he is their pedophile. A people who will protect a terrorist because he's their terrorist. Who will vote for an incompetent, thieving moron because he is their moron. But there is another factor at work, which is even worse than primitive tribalism, and it is greed. the desire to profit personally, even from the most evil regime, even at the cost of the blood of your own people. Greed is the driver of the human locusts, the party men, the unprincipled party men, the mass media enablers, whose only interest is the blood money they stand to earn. These are the cabals, the intellectual apologists who earn blood money from contracts and professional fees. They sell their country to the highest bidder. Unlike the man in the street, these people are fully aware of the unfitness of their political clients. But of course, the weaker the president, the stronger the cabal. And they hear their politicians chanting, "I robbed your schools bankrupt. I sent your children to the streets, but you will vote for me." But the children of these cabals are in schools abroad. They merely seek the wealth to keep them there. So our complicit middle class have heard the message of the Pied Piper of African politics crying, "Follow me and I will make you raiders of the public treasury also." Lacking any patriotic strand in their DNA, they follow, enabling corrupt politicians, feeding the pap of propaganda to the public, assuring them they may sponsor terrorists, they may employ bandits, but you must vote for them. It was a winning strategy for Charles Taylor. In 1997, he coasted into the Liberian State House on a landslide victory, claiming 75% of the votes in an election considered free and fair. But the democratic election of a demon into State House does not make him an angel. Charles Taylor continued to do what he knew how to do, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. He stole and he continued to smuggle blood diamonds, stealing and embezzling an estimated $100 million, half his country's estimated revenue at the time. As a tribalist, he massacred hundreds of his countrymen and triggered both the Second Liberian Civil War and the Sierra Leonean Civil War. It all ended in tears for his cabal, for the tribalist members of his ethnicity, and for his middle-class enablers. He is currently serving 50 years jail sentence, the first former head of state in the world to be convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity. But does that bring back the dead? Does it heal the wounded? Does it erase the trauma of Liberians? In the words of the presiding judge that sentenced Charles Taylor, the accused has been found responsible for aiding, abetting, and planning some of the most heinous and brutal crimes in recorded human history. And this is a lesson for posterity from Liberia. The Liberian masses suffered the most heinous and brutal crimes in recorded human history for failing to resist Charles Taylor at the polls, for electing a psychopath, for not resisting his goons. Yet, how does one begin to help people who swim on their own flooded streets to voting booths to vote incompetent criminals back into office? Nigerian politics is an active crime scene with a far higher potential for body count. The first civil war in Nigeria took 3 million lives, almost the population of all Sierra Leone. Nigeria is already in a slow-burn civil war. Those who have eyes to see will know. Yet her citizens are still romancing presidential candidates whose previous tenures in office foretell exactly how they plan to rule. Politicians who chant with all confidence, "I have bought the delegates, I will buy your votes, and you will vote for me." This is a wake-up call to the complacent masses in the line of destruction. This is a warning to the complicit middle class the blood oil billionaires and the intellectual apologists who think that they have perfected the art of kingfishering in the mouth of a whale. There is neither mercy nor middle class in the land of bitterness. Ikoyi homes burn as easily as Isaleko shanties. All refugee in a refugee, all die in a die.